As you abstract that out to a broader and broader level, the freedom has to grow from that level of government because there's less homogeneity as you move up the chain. So I'm very much in favor of the idea that local communities get to make decisions for themselves on a local level. But as you abstract up the chain with more and more people who are not like you, the government has to take a lighter and lighter hand. So when it comes to, for example, broad statements like freedom of speech or freedom of expression, I would say that not every space, I mean, the Supreme Court has said this, not every space is created equivalent in these circumstances, right? In your apartment building, you can't just stand in the bottom floor and hand out political literature very often, right? I mean, the person who runs the apartment building will kick you out. You're not allowed to do that. There are certain spaces that are considered okay for this and certain spaces that are not considered okay for this. So the idea, again, that there's sort of a flat, one-size-fits-all freedom of speech provision, and it doesn't rely on place, and it doesn't rely on locality, and it doesn't rely on level of government, it doesn't speak to how government actually works or the aspirations of human beings. I think, for example, that zoning laws are a pretty great way of preventing quote-unquote freedom of expression. And I think that local communities should be able to, for example, not have a pot shop directly next to a school. And it's a pretty significant encroachment on the pot shop's freedom of expression. They can't even sell their pot right next to the school. But again, I think that we understand that when it comes to local communities making rules for themselves, because you have the ability to do what I did, right? I didn't like the rules in California, so I got up and I moved. In the United States, I can't really do that, right? That's why I'm very, very skeptical of free speech laws at the federal level, but I'm much less skeptical when it comes to a local school board deciding what it wants to teach. If I don't like it, I can always move to the next town.
Yeah. I mean, some of those don't really fit within the bounds. If you want to talk about like an apartment building, obviously that's a private residence. Free speech just doesn't really apply
Okay,
there.
but there are time, space, and manner restrictions even at the University of Wisconsin, right?
Sure.
Right, I mean, there's a public school in here. If you protest right now and you start screaming and disrupting, they'll take you out. That's expression.